So recently, a video got spat up in my YouTube recommended about Zillion OP. Some of you may know who that is, others perhaps not. I certainly had no idea who the guy was before I watched this video. It's by a channel called Wavy Websurf, and I'm gonna link it in the description. And honestly, learning about this situation got me so riled up that it's making me break pattern in a big way, because I don't usually talk about small creators on account of I'm not a drama channel, and I'm perfectly content here in my corner shrieking into the uncaring void at big media companies. And if maybe sometimes I can teach someone something along the way, then that's just neat. So, without further ado, here is a disabled person's view on what we as creators owe our audiences. Fucking nothing. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, consider liking it. Okay, fine. I'll elaborate. So for those of you who don't know, Zillion OP was a Twitch streamer back in the day who was kind of known as the disabled Twitch streamer because he was a wheelchair user. Until one day a clip surfaces of him standing up out of his chair on stream. This led to a massive public outcry, rumors spiraling wildly out of control, and finally Twitch actually banned him. There's more to the story, and he's kind of maybe back under the username It's Bluish on YouTube. He tried Twitch at first, but got rebanned, and then Mixer, but, yeah, I think we all know how that went. But I'm not here to actually tell you that story. I suggest you go watch the video in the description for that. What I am here to talk about is the absolute disgust this entire situation sparked in me. The interview with Bluish, Zillion, whatever, in Websurf's video honestly hurts to watch, because it hurts to watch the guy blame himself for what happened. Because it's not his fault. Could he have reacted better in the wake of the incident? Sure, I guess. He could have pulled up Facebook photos from his past and his medical history and laid the thing to rest there, and he'd probably have made it out only a little singed. But the fact that he blames himself for that he didn't? That's just fucked up, man. It brings me around to the real question of this video: how much do we owe our audience? To which I reiterate, fucking nothing. At least when it comes to our personal medical records. You may not be where you are today without people being willing to watch you, but just like how that doesn't entitle your fans to stalk you or come to your home, it does not entitle them to knowledge of your medical history. You know, parasocial relationship and all that. You are not friends. And even your friends aren't technically entitled to this knowledge, you just might want to share it because you're friends. It's not Bluish's fault that the internet took one look at a man in a wheelchair and said, oh, he's completely paralyzed, we'll never walk again. It's not his fault that when a video of him standing up surfaced, not a single person took a moment to say, hey, wait a second, just because someone uses a wheelchair doesn't mean they're paralyzed. It is certainly not his fault that people would rather assume malicious intent than even consider that there might exist disabled people outside of their personal realms of experience. Nor should he have to expose his own medical history and physio process to clear things up. And it's deeply fucked up that he has to now, and that doing so in the past could probably have saved him a lot of trouble. It wakes the question in me of why is it that the expectation of privacy that we have as human beings flies completely out the window the moment that human being turns out to be disabled. Why is it socially acceptable to demand someone disclose their medical history to you just because they happen to be outside of your daily life experience? In an ideal world, this guy could have cleared it up with an I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user. Maybe add how that's changed since he started streaming, if he felt like it. In a truly ideal world, the most he would have been met with was confusion, given he was very private about his physio progress, but no real hostility. Just because someone is disabled doesn't mean you're suddenly entitled to every detail of their life. It doesn't give you the right to go up to them and try to play judge, jury, and executioner on whether or not they're actually disabled. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The number of people faking disabilities is so infinitesimally small that if you're going to accuse someone of that, you had better have their entire goddamn medical file on hand, thanks. I don't know if you can tell, but this particular situation hit especially close to home for me. I don't draw myself as a wheelchair user just for shits and giggles. I actually am one. I have a wheelchair. I use it on longer trips outside of my home. Sometimes I use it in my home. It depends on the day. On this channel, I've been pretty open about my disabilities, how they manifest, what I can and can't do because of them, but that's because what I do often focuses on disability. My life experience in this realm is relevant to what I do. If this was a gaming channel, most of my disability talk would likely be happening over on my Patreon or my private Twitter, and that would be perfectly within my rights. Being as open as I am is a choice I am actively making. It is what I want to do, and I am comfortable doing it. That is not going to be the situation for every disabled creator out there. This should not be a controversial take. Disabled people have the same right to privacy as everyone else. Leave it to the government to go poking around in our personal lives to determine what support we're entitled to. There's people who are paid to do that shit, and who actually have access to all of our information. Granted, most of them will do absolutely everything in their power to avoid giving us so much as a cent, but the point is that the rest of y'all can sit down and leave us with only one mob of bloodthirsty monsters picking through our lives for any hint that we might not be hurting as badly as we say we are. And, you know, in watching this video, some of you might come to notice there's some striking similarities in the points I am bringing up here and the issues faced by another community I am part of. That is to say, the trans community. Because trans people and trans creators have to face almost exactly the same backlash and scrutiny, but at least there people are slowly, very slowly, waking up to the fact that that's not fucking cool. Just like I don't need to provide you with my medical records around my disability, neither are you entitled to know anything about my transition that I do not willingly share. Hell, if I wanted to go stealth, I would be fully within my rights to do so. Y'all only know I'm trans because most of my gender crisis happened online, and I, personally, feel comfortable being out. But trans creators still get bombed with invasive questions, and we're barely 10 years out from the era that thought it was completely okay to ask trans celebrities about their genitalia on TV. There's still this incessant pressure to prove your validity, even from within the community. Trans medicalists will jump down your throat for even the slightest hint of gender nonconformity, and if you're non-binary, forget it, they won't even acknowledge you as one of us. And yet they have the pure audacity to still use the trans flag, the fucking nerve. Likewise, it's an unfortunate reality that those with invisible disabilities often feel left out of disabled spaces. Worries about not being disabled enough are common even among those of us who have visible disabilities. And of course, all of these attitudes are fueled by outside pressures and stigmas. If there was no transphobia, trans medicalists wouldn't be such pick-me trans people. If there was no ableism, disabled people wouldn't feel the constant need to prove that they are disabled. So, of course, when any one of us gains a platform, those attitudes will only ever amplify. Because some of y'all really can't look at trans or disabled people and recognize that we have the exact same right to privacy as the rest of you. Which, really, I honestly shouldn't be surprised, because you have the exact same problem when it comes to any public figure, because some of y'all will literally find out where your favorite YouTuber lives and go to their house. As if that's something normal to do and not really fucking creepy. Just because you're a fan of, let's say, Markiplier, does not give you the right to find out where he lives and show up at his door. Just because you're a fan of Jessica Kelgren-Fozzard does not suddenly give you the right to grill her on the validity of her disabilities. Just because you're a fan of Nikki Tutorials does not give you any right to her identity or to act like her living stealth for as long as she did was lying. It's not. It's none of your fucking business. These statements all carry exactly the same amount of weight and truth, and yes, I will fight you on this. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, consider liking it and maybe subscribing. I will be back here Thursday after next. Bye.